Hello, hello, hello. A big warm welcome back to Miss Willa's Book Club. I'm your host, Shelby, and today we're doing something just a little bit different. We're going to be talking about my bookish ins and outs for 2026. We're going to be talking about the habits I'm leaning into, the trends that I'm leaving behind, and to be honest, maybe a little spicy opinions on reading. We're going to think of it as a little bit of a bookish manifesto, but a slightly cozy, maybe even a slightly judgmental one. So grab your coffee or whatever you're drinking tonight, grab your favorite blanket, and maybe even your TBR stack because we are about to dive in. And hey, this episode is for anybody who's tired of forcing books they don't love, feeling guilty for DNFing, or just want to reclaim reading for joy. So to start out with the drink of the episode, in true January fashion, I like to lean towards darker things. So I am drinking a 90 shillings from Odell Brewery, and this is an amber ale. So I like to drink amber ales in the winter when it's a little bit more chilly out, and so something like a Breckenridge Brewery Avalanche or 90 shillings, just something that's a little bit heartier. I also lean towards red wine in the winter as well, and then in the summer I switch to like a good hoppy IPA or even like a white wine or a nice rosé because it's just a little bit fresher. So it is January when I'm recording this, so we have got a good amber ale on tap here. All right, without further ado, let's get into the ins and outs of 2026. Let's get into it. Okay, guys, let's start with what I'm going to be leaning into this year, the bookish habits and trends that I'm actually really excited about for 2026. The first one on my list is rereading your comfort series. Now, I know there are a lot of opinions on rereading series because there are so many books out there. However, for me, it's like hugging an old friend. I feel like when I read a book the second or even third time, I get so many different things out of it, and I catch things that I didn't catch the first time, especially if it's a high fantasy series like A Court of Thorns and Roses, Throne of Glass, From Blood and Ash, which might become a series on this podcast this year, so stay tuned. When I go back and reread a book, I just know that it's going to feel a little bit different than the last time that I read it. And honestly, sometimes I just need that predictable, cozy thrill and to read something that I actually know that I'm really going to like. Because, y'all, I'm tired of picking up books and just being like, meh. And like halfway through the book, I'm like, I don't want to be reading this. And do you ever find that a series that you love hits differently depending on your mood or your life stage? I love seeing which parts resonate with me now versus 2 years ago. So when I first read the From Blood and Ash series, gosh, in what, 2020? Was at the end of 2021. I know that I was on rotation in pharmacy school up in Steamboat because my bestie got the book for me, which is where this podcast name comes from. And I absolutely blew through it because I loved it so much. But I wonder what I would catch differently the second time around, especially because I know there are so many of these books out there and I'm maybe halfway through them. We'll talk about that in a whole nother series. So stay tuned. Okay, number 2 of my ins for 2026, DNFing without guilt. This year, I'm going to be giving myself full permission to DNF a book. And I mean truly guilt-free, because you guys, life is too short to just slog through something that isn't sparking any joy. I have actually gotten a lot better at DNFing in the last year because I always just feel so bad, especially if a book is gifted. I'm like, oh, I need to read this and I need to give it a review. But then I also feel like I'm like, okay, if I'm going to read it, I have to like it. And not every book is for every person. And so I just need to go into it and know that I can guilt-free say, this is not for me. Because that is not the same thing as slandering on the internet and saying, I hate this book. This is the worst thing that's ever written. You can clearly just say, this is just not for me. So 2026, we are DNFing without any guilt. And if you've ever pushed through a book just because you spent money on it or somebody gave it to you, you know exactly the relief that I'm talking about here. All right, sliding into number 3 for my 2026 ins for bookish content is giving honest reviews. This is about giving honest reviews on Goodreads, giving honest reviews on TikTok, Instagram, wherever you post or consume your bookish content. I want to be more honest about what I'm reading, even if it's negative. Social media can be full of this pressure to say that everything is perfect, but I think that honest reviews can really create real conversations between people. And honestly, the conversations are more fun when you have a little bit more of a controversial opinion. And honestly, this is how I felt with some of the books that I had in my 2025 wrap up, because I had some different opinions than the internet does. And when I initially go to post that review on Goodreads and talk about how a book wasn't my favorite, I get a little bit nervous because I know that people really like it, and so I don't just want to get torn to shreds. However, I feel like it really creates honest reviews and conversations, and you know what? Honestly, authors are asking for feedback for a reason, so it's all about the conversation. All right, so those are my top 3 for bookish ins for 2026. Next up, my 4th in for 2026 is going to be mood reading. I am embracing reading what I actually want when I actually want to read it. Some days that's fantasy. Some days it's a cozy mystery, and some days I just can't even, and I have to pick up like a little romance or something cutesy and fun. Reading should feel like fun and not homework. So 2026 is going to be the year that I try to make reading more fun for me. Because over the past couple of years, when life gets in the way, it's really like, oh, I have to hit that reading goal. I have to hit that reading goal. And it makes it like not as fun as it used to be. And maybe it's the types of books that I'm reading. Maybe it's just because I'm consuming so much and things are less special, but we'll talk about that here in just a little bit. All right, my last in for 2026 is going to be library and or a cute little coffee shop and audiobooks. I am going to be leaning into reading more in public spaces. So one thing about Shelby is she really, really loves finding cute coffee shops and setting up shop for a little while, pulling out a book, having a good coffee, and just like a really fun atmosphere, right? Doesn't have to be a coffee shop, could be a library, could be just a little space in a park, depending on where you want to go. But I'm just learning to lean into those things that I know that I really love to do. That's going to be really exciting for me this year, to see the cute little places that I end up and bring my book along just so that I know that I can have a spot and a time and a place designated to read. Now, the other part of that is audiobooks. I am a huge audiobook girly. I love audiobooks. I think they count towards your reading goal. However, I do also feel that I don't actually catch as much when I'm listening to an audiobook. I feel like I'll have to like go back or re-listen to things because I'm like, what was their name? What was happening? Did I miss something? And I just don't catch as much as I would with like physical words on a paper. However, I do love that with audiobooks, I can read while I'm cleaning, while I'm walking, driving. It's the reading without the guilt for me. And I absolutely love that because I feel like I'm still consuming content that I know and I love, but I can do it while I'm also getting other things done. One of my favorite things to do is to sit down with like a paint by numbers or a puzzle or doing something with my hands with a good audiobook playing in my ears. Top tier, because I'm doing something creative with my hands, but I'm also putting in that extra mind work that's going into my brain. And I just think that that is like top tier way to listen to a book. Okay, guys, those are my bookish ins for 2026. And now we are going to dive into my bookish outs for 2026. Let's get a little spicy because these are the things that I'm going to be leaving behind in 2026. All right, the first one, and I know that I briefly talked about this a little bit in my 2025 wrap-up, but the first thing that's going out for me in 2026 is giving everything a 5 stars or even a 4 stars. It has been like rating inflation, and it does nobody any favors. A 5-star book should feel extra special. not just like a default setting, which if I really, really love the ending of the book, I'm sure you guys have heard me talk about this. If I really, really like the ending of the book, I will automatically be like, amazing. Instead of sitting with it and being like, okay, what do I actually think about this? And so we're not going to be giving everything 5 stars. We're going to be sitting with a book for a second and be like, okay, did I like the writing style? Was it fun? And just putting more thought into what I'm actually reading these books, because it actually means something. And I feel like when I was going through my 2025 reading wrap up, there were definitely books that stood out to me being like, oh my gosh, absolutely, this is well deserving of a 5-star rating, or this is infinity because I cannot get over it. But I'm just going to be a little bit more of a harsher critic, because not everything is going to be 5 stars. So stay tuned and we'll see if that actually happens, because sometimes I just get so excited after I finish a book and I'm like, oh, 5 stars for everybody. Okay, next up on my bookish outs for 2026 is going to be buying more than one physical book per month. And you guys, this is going to be tough for me because I know that there are some really good releases. So I am going to be looking throughout the year and seeing what releases are coming up. And I have a towering TBR. I have literally bookshelves filled with books that have not been read yet. And so I know that I'm going to be making my way through my physical TBR, but it's a little bit terrifying. This year, I'm going to be shopping my shelves first, finishing what I have. It's not actually going to happen, and letting my wallet breathe a little bit, because that not only gets expensive, but then I just have so many more books that are already just like sitting on my shelves, and they just kind of stare at me, and I feel like they're judging me because I have not read them. So, bookish out, buying more than one physical book per month. Okay, the next one I feel like gets maybe a little bit controversial, because we all want to be reading the next best thing. The whole reason that we're on Book Talk or Bookstagram, or again, wherever you're consuming your bookish content, my next bookish out is reading purely because of hype. I am done reading books just because they're trending. I'm looking at you, TikTok book hype. The trends are super fun, but I really want my reading to reflect me and not just my algorithm. And I feel like last year I did a decent job of this, but there were definitely a few books that I would look at and be like, oh, I don't know if I'll read it, but everybody says it's good, so I guess I have to. But at the end of the day, some of the times I just should have stuck to my guns and known that it just wasn't going to be something that was for me. But we are going to be doing more of that in 2026. So we are removing all the massive hype that's going to be around these books. Hype can be very exciting, but it shouldn't just dictate my joy. All right. And another bookish out for 2026 is going to be finishing series that I've lost interest in. Something that I no longer care about. Series guilt can be absolutely real, but why would I force the ending if I've already lost the love for it? There's a couple that automatically come to mind where I'm like, oh, you know what? Like, I didn't really love the last book. I don't care about the characters. Why would I continue it if I didn't like it? So 2026 is going to be all about reading with my heart, not against it. And I just know that there are a few series that I will not be continuing in 2026, so stay tuned. Okay, another one that I feel like I've seen already a lot of people are doing and posting about on TikTok is forcing reading challenges and TBR pressure. Kind of the theme that I've been seeing on TikTok is that people are kind of over just reading so that they can hit their reading goal. I feel like more people are trying to read things that they're actually genuinely interested in. And that's been really fun to see, because y'all, I have pushed myself so hard to hit my TBR goal when I'm like, you know what? Life gets busy. There are other things going on. Like, I'm just so out of just forcing a reading challenge. Numbers and quotas are super fun in theory, right? But when they overshadow the actual joy of reading, I can't really get behind that anymore. So this year, even though I kept my TBR at 75, I'm not going to force myself to get there. If I'm not enjoying it, I'm not going to just sit back and feel that pressure. I'm just going to read things that I know that I'm going to enjoy, and hopefully that will just spark my love for reading again. So here we go. Okay, the last bookish out that I have here is going to be shaming myself for an easy or short read. Something like a cozy mystery, a young adult fantasy romance, just a romance. If it makes me happy, it counts. Stories are stories, and the moral hierarchy of genres is kind of fake. I feel like 2026, the biggest in is going to just be finding reading for pleasure again. Finding things that you know you're going to love. I'm going to be embracing these fun reads just absolutely guilt-free, because you know what? We should love what we're reading. We should absolutely be immersed in it. I mean, that's what got us here in the first place, right? Is our love for these books and these authors. And yes, I am so excited to see what 2026 brings, because I feel like this year already people have just been so much more intentional on what they're posting, what they're commenting on, what they're liking, what we're all consuming, what we're purchasing. It's just been a really cool shift. And maybe it's just my timeline. Maybe because I'm in that frame of mind currently, maybe that's just my timeline. However, I love to see it, because I'm like, I'm finding the joy in life, and I'm really just trying to find the joy back in reading again. So there it is, folks. This is my 2026 bookish ins and outs. To recap real quickly, the top 3 things that I'm leaning into: rereading comfort series, DNFing guilt-free, and giving some honest reviews. The top thing I'm leaving behind is giving everything 5 stars. We are not going to be buying more than 1 book a month, unless I've already had it pre-ordered, and reading just because it's trending. I would love to hear from you in the comments down below. What are your bookish ins and outs? Is there anything that you are absolutely embracing, or the things that you're leaving behind? Hit the like button, drop a comment down below, give us a subscribe, and give us a follow wherever you're listening to us. We're so happy to have you here at Miss Willa's Book Club. I love seeing how others are reclaiming reading for themselves. So thank you so much for joining me on this cozy, slightly opinionated episode. Remember, reading should be joyful, intentional, and completely our own. Take these ideas, play with them, and see what works for you. Until next time, keep those pages turning, and maybe DNF something if you need to. We will see you guys next time.